Hey everybody, my name is Asia and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be discussing my July TBR. So honestly, there is so many readathons happening in July, and I thought to myself in June, I was like, I really structured my reading this month. Next month I'm gonna chill. No, that's not happening. I'm participating in 3 readathons, but I want to quickly mention the other ones going on in case you guys want to participate in them. I know that obviously the reading rush is going on and I was going to participate in the reading rush, but I just feel like they're not as diverse as they should be at this point, so I decided to take a step back and participate in some of the other readathons from smaller creators who I personally know, as well as I know the Pop Culture-athon is a month-long readathon. I'm not exactly sure who it's hosted by, but I will be linking all that information down. So it's Editing Deja here, and I forgot to mention that Cramathon is also happening. They're doing a summer edition, so if you guys want to participate in that, I will also have the information for that down in my description box, just so you guys know. Now back to the regular scheduled chaotic content below. So I'm going to be participating in the Horror in 24 readathon, which is a 24-day long readathon where you read just horror books. I probably will mix in some other books here and there because I don't know if I could just read horror and thrillers for 24 days straight. And it goes a little bit into August. I believe it starts July 11th, and I'm going to be doing a separate TBR for that, but it's hosted by Rain from Brews and Vines, Crystal from Crystal's Visions, Marcy from Marcy Reads, and Carol from Carol Marie Reads. I will be doing a separate TBR for that. I'll probably post it on like July 11th. I just want to see like the host recommendation videos to see what I want to read. So I'm going to get to my TBR for some of the other readathons in a second, as well as other books that I want to get to, but I have like a new little thing that I want to start doing in my TBRs where you guys basically get to choose what I read. So I created this little jar of TBR Stars, which has almost every single book that I own that I haven't read on it. Yes, I know there's a lot of stars. The first person who I saw make these stars was Natasha from My Reading Is Odd. I love Natasha. She hasn't really posted too much in the past couple months, but Natasha is amazing. So I made these little TBR stars, and each color corresponds to a different genre. So like the pinks are romance, the orange is historical fiction / classics, the yellow is contemporary, the green is sci-fi / dystopian, the blues are fantasy, and the purples are thriller / horror. I'm going to pick 3 every single month, and then I will just open them on camera, and I'll leave like comments of each title down below, like one separate comment for each of the 3 books, and then just thumbs up the comment of the book that you want me to read. But I will just randomly pick, and I'm just letting you guys know this is the 3rd time I'm filming this TBR. So the first time I filmed it, the lighting was really bad, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna just refilm it. And then I refilmed it yesterday, and then for somehow like my files got corrupted and deleted, and then I'm refilming it again today. So I pulled TBR Stars 3 different times, or this will be my 3rd time, but I don't want you guys to think I'm cheating, so that's why I still want to pull it on camera even though it's different. And oh, so I also forgot to mention, when I pull all 3, whichever 2 that you guys don't choose, I will be putting those just back in. They fold back up. So I'm gonna choose this one. Obviously it's a fantasy because I own a lot of fantasy.
All these stars filled up a small jar to like the very top, but I couldn't like mix it around like this, so I put it into this one because it's really big.
And then I got a historical fiction / classic. That's kind of scary.
Hopefully it's like Dracula or something, because then it'll fit into Horror in 24. Okay.
And then the last one is a thriller / horror. I'm actually really excited because the last couple times that I did this, I think I got 2 contemporaries one time and a fantasy, and then I got 2 fantasies and a contemporary, I believe. So this is actually really exciting that I have like 3 separate genres.
So I'm probably not going to show this my handwriting because it's really fast, but like I think that's interesting right now. Like I'm not going to lie, because some of these probably, oh my gosh, some of these I probably really don't want to read, but it's okay, it's okay. So the fantasy
is, oh my gosh, the fantasy is The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson.
And the classic / historical fiction. I said this is a book thief, then we're gonna have issues.
Okay, it's Orphan Monster Spy, which I think it's behind me over here.
And then the thriller / horror, I'm super excited to see what this
is Then She Was Gone, which is by Lisa Jewell. So for some reason, something's telling me that you guys are going to choose The Final Empire, but we'll see. I'd actually kind of be excited for any of these, but I'm pretty sure that you guys are going to choose The Final Empire, which is right here by Brandon Sanderson. I have like the UK bind up edition of Mistborn, And honestly, I have no idea what this is about, and I don't really want to know because everybody hypes it up. I just know that I believe that there's like powers of some sort in this world. Everybody just loves Brandon Sanderson in general. My copy is 650-ish pages, so she's big, but she's not huge, especially because the pages are short. I mean, the text is kind of small. And so the next one is Orphan Monster Spy, which is by Matt Killen. So this book is about a girl who is blonde hair and blue-eyed, but she's also Jewish, and this takes place during World War II, and then she infiltrates an elite boarding school that's for Nazi generals' daughters. This actually seems really good. And then the last one was Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell. Everybody loves Lisa Jewell, and I have not read one yet. I know this is about a woman that we followed 10 years after her daughter's disappearance, and she got a divorce from her husband, so in like 10 years after, when we follow her, she starts like dating this new guy, and his daughter looks exactly like her daughter that disappeared. So these are the 3 books that you guys get to choose from: The Final Empire, Orphan Monster Spy, and Then She Was Gone. So moving on to my TBR for Detectathon, which is hosted by Molly from Mind of Molly. This was originally supposed to happen in June, but then she pushed it back to July, and she made some alterations in that time period. And so there was originally like 1 set of prompts, but now there's 2 set of prompts, and so they're paths, and you could do either path. You can do a combination of the paths, which is what I'm gonna do. This readathon is taking place from July 6th to the 19th, and the group book is Ivy Aberdeen's Letter to the World. So I'm not gonna be reading it because I don't have access to it, but it seems like a really good book. So the 2 paths are In the Dead of Night and The Game Is On. I really like The Game Is On path, but that starts with reading the group book. So I'm going to take the first prompt from the In the Dead of Night path, which is just read a book with purple on the cover. So for that, I'm going to go with You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah Johnson. I've heard such good things about this book, and it recently just came out. And this follows a girl who is trying to run for prom queen because whoever wins gets a scholarship, and so obviously she's competing against other people, and I think she falls for one of the other contestants, and it's kind of like a hate to love. We follow a black main character, and it has a sapphic romance. A lot of the books that I'm reading this month have sapphic romances, which makes me so happy because I did not read any sapphic romances in June, which is basically blasphemy because it was literally Pride Month, but I'm really excited to get to this book. So this is when I switch over to The Game Is On path, and the second prompt is to flip to the acknowledgements in this book and find the first name and try and find an author with that first or last name. The first name is Sarah Landis. It's right there. So I haven't read this book obviously, but it was turned on my shelf because the cover is beautiful, and I saw it and I was like, oh my gosh, I could read this, and it's small, and that is Sea Witch by Sarah Henning. I'm super excited to read this because I love any book that has like mermaids, sirens, or like pirates, or the ocean. Sorry if the lighting's changed, the sun decided to say hello. This book follows a girl whose best friend drowned, and it's like a couple years later, and this girl washes up that looks exactly like her friend, so it's kind of like Then She Was Gone, but like fantasy. She has to like help this new person that looks like her friend because like if she doesn't help her, then she like can't stay on land. So the third prompt is to pick a book that has the same amount of words in the title as the last book. So Sea Witch has 8 letters in the title, so I decided to go with Treasure, which I've heard just recently about and I don't own it, but it is a sapphic romance. I know one of them is at least POC, and then I believe the author is black, and I know one of them is a stripper, and they're like, the way that they meet is that the stripper gives the other girl a lap dance at a strip club, and then it kind of just ensues from there. So I've heard really, really good things about this, so I definitely want to pick it up. So the next prompt is to look at the title of the last book, so Treasure for me, and whatever color the title is in that, to pick a book that has a cover that's the same color. Treasure has a pink title, so I went with finding a pink book, and so I decided to go with The Henna Wars, which is another sapphic romance book. So this follows 2 girls, and for like a school project, they have to create a business, so they both decide to create henna businesses, and so they're obviously competing, and I believe this is a hate to love. I also believe one of these girls is Muslim, so I'm really excited to see the intersection of religion with sexuality and see how that's handled through this book, but I've heard nothing but good things, and I definitely wanted to pick this one up. So the next prompt plays into the detective kind of aspect of this readathon, and it's basically saying how the last prompt was a false lead and to pick a book that's opposite of that book in either length or genre. So for that, I decided to go with Home Before Dark by Riley Sager because obviously that's going to be like a lighthearted sapphic romance, and this is going to be like a dark, twisty, possibly paranormal thriller. So this follows a girl, and I know her family moved into this house and they lived there for like 20 days, I believe, and then it was haunted, so they moved out. Her dad wrote a memoir/book on like what happened during those 20 days of it being being like haunted and stuff. So she decides to go back years later and goes back to this house to see if it's really haunted and to like figure out if her dad was just kind of lying or if what he was saying is true. I'm super excited to get to this because I really enjoyed Lock Every Door last year and I've heard really good things about this so far, so I'm super excited to get to it. So the last prompt in my path is to flip to a random page in the previous book and then find a random word that's not like the, and, or, and try and find a book with that word in the title. So obviously, as I said, her dad in Home Before Dark wrote a memoir / book. I believe she refers to it as the book throughout like the course of the novel. So I saw book. So I found a book that has book in the title, and that is The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. I'm super excited that I actually got both of these on my TBR because these will both be showing up on my TBR for Horror in 24. So The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires I've heard really good things about, and I've heard such good things about Grady Hendrix, and I really want to get to My Best Friend's Exorcism as well. I'm sorry I'm bright now. There we go. I have to keep adjusting it because of the stupid sun. But this book follows a book club in Charleston, South Carolina, I believe of mostly like middle-aged women or just people in general. In their neighborhood, a new mysterious man moves in, and I believe he's a vampire, and he joins their book club. I've heard such good things about this. I know Crystal from Crystal's Visions really enjoyed this book, so I'm super excited to get into Grady Hendrix's work. So I'm also going to be participating in Booktubers and Bruce for June, July, and August so far, and so I have to read the June book because I got added to it late, right before Romanceathon, so I obviously was focusing on reading romance books. So that book is Suffer the Children. I also have a couple arcs that I'm going to get to, but I'm going to do a whole vlog about that. So I'm also going to be reading the July book in July, and that is Survivor Song by Paul Tremblay. I have not read a Paul Tremblay book yet. Survivor Song is the Horror in 24 group book, so I'm definitely going to be reading it for both of those, and I'm so excited for this book. It sounds so good. I know that has some sort of like virus apocalyptic type thing. I don't know if they turn into zombies, but something definitely happens, and I know we follow a pregnant woman, and I think she's seeking medical attention because I think she got bit or something like that, so like she's trying to protect her child. I think following a pregnant woman in an apocalyptic setting trying to survive is going to be really interesting. So I'm also going to be participating in Becca's Bookopoly, which is hosted by Becca from Becca in the Books. Becca's Bookopoly is like her TBR game that she plays every month, and now she's making a readathon for it, which is a 48-hour readathon, and you can't really make a TBR for it because the prompts are coming out every 12 hours for 48 hours. I'm going to choose to do 4, so I'm going to choose between the 2 prompts every 12 hours. The first 2 prompts were to either be like a paranormal book or to like do kind of like a random chance kind of pick. So I picked 4 books, like 2 that I really wanted to read, 2 that I kind of didn't, and I put those in a poll on Twitter, and then she retweeted and it got almost 300 votes, and the book that was chosen was The Crier's War, which I just think this is a fantasy that has another sapphic romance in it. And Mollie from Mind of Mollie, who's hosting Detectathon, who is like one of the most amazing people ever, she said that this is required reading. So I'm excited to get to this, and this is going to be my first book for that, and I'm going to be doing a reading vlog for Becca's Bookopoly, and it's probably going to be chaotic because Becca's Bookopoly is chaotic. That's when you guys will be able to see what books I read for Becca's Bookopoly. So I know that this is already a lot of books, and there's still the books that I have to read for Horror in 24 that I haven't mentioned yet. But there is 3 other books that I'm hoping to get to this month that I do want to mention. So I'm just going to go over these quickly. The first one is Good Girl, Bad Blood by Holly Jackson. I read A Good Girl's Guide to Murder in June, and I loved it. It's one of my favorite books of the whole year. Oh my gosh, that book makes me so happy. It's a YA thriller, and this girl's investigating a murder that happened in her town for a school project, so it has kind of like a mixed media format, and I know this follows another murder that she's trying to solve, and she's doing a podcast, so that's how we get the mixed media element, and I've heard really good things about this. I've heard that this one's possibly even better than the first one, so I really want to get to it this month. Then I'm also hoping to get to the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin because everybody loves N.K. Jemisin, and I just picked this up last month, and I just really want to get to it because I really just want to get into her work. I've been hearing about her for a long time. I don't really know what this is about except that it's a fantasy. So the last book that I want to talk about is Felix Ever After by Kaysen Callender. This book just came out last month, I believe, and this follows a trans boy, and I know he gets like outed, and so then he tries to like blackmail the person, I believe. I'm not exactly sure, but I just want to read this because it follows a trans boy in high school, and I love that. I've heard really good things about Kaysen Callender's writing, so I think that this one is definitely one that I want to read soon. I read 14 books in June, and I'm trying to read even more in July because I just have so many books that I want to read. There's not enough time. That is all that I have for this video today. I would love to hear from you guys down in the comments below, especially on what book I should read in July. Make sure to go give those thumbs up on those comments. So as I said, I would love to talk to you guys, and I will have my Twitter and Instagram down below if you want to talk to me there. But that is it for now, so I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!
You always posting up pictures, trying to look like you winning. I'm writing rhymes in the kitchen, soaking in moments we live in, yeah. You got the nerve to be on me, faking your life for the IG.